the best thing about social media is that your audience is going to tell you what works and what doesn't.
Jay Hunt Merged Media, back again for another Digital Hunter. This week it's going to be an educational packed episode with our very own Dave Kerr. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Jay. How are you doing?
Good. Dave Kerr first joined the team. He was our first employee hired back in 2016 with Fresh Crowd, and Dave has worked with hundreds upon hundreds of accounts creating content. Today we're talking about content. I don't think there's a better person to talk about content creation than yourself. You have a lot of experience. Dave is masterful in his ability to create content that converts. He's super creative and passionate. He's also an avid photographer. You're going to get a ton of value in this week's episode, so make sure you tune in for the entire thing. In your opinion, what do you think drives successful content on social media?
I mean, the reason why we're talking about Canva today, I think, speaks to that specifically, because like people stop scrolling because of the photo, right? Like I don't think there's anyone who's still just making text posts. There probably was a few years ago when we first got this ball rolling, but you gotta stop, because look, people scroll, I'm not sure how fast, but it's ridiculous. Those thumbs go miles, right? So yeah, the picture comes first. So if you want to sell anything from, like, I don't know, food to travel to e-com to whatever in my services, haircuts, right? I'm not going to stop scrolling. No one is, no matter how many emojis you put in that copy, because of what you're writing. It's the image is the answer to your question.
The algorithm is so smart that it's going to figure out whether or not that size of content, that size of image is going to look good on that platform, and whether it's a type of content people want to consume. Because the more appropriate the content is for the platform, the more people are going to see that piece of content on that platform. That's the way the algorithm works. What are things that you should not do when you're creating social media content?
Okay, so I touched upon one. Don't steal pics. The algorithm's going to catch you. Or the person who owns the photo is going to do it. Like, please just don't go. You see it all the time. It's wild to me. Don't go to Google and just search like pictures of this. Like, say you want to promote living outdoors, which I realize we're not doing a lot of right now. But don't just search like happy family outside on Google. Find a picture and upload that into your graphic design or just natively on the platform. Don't do that. Go to one of the Creative Commons sources. And there's a million things. Don't put too much text on your images, because if you're using it as an advertisement, there are rules in place from Facebook. There's a 20% rule where 20% of the image at most can be text, and it deems text to be the entire area the text takes up, not just the literal letters. Don't sell too hard, I feel like, is a really big one. I feel like most people they see social media as that quick win, especially right now when people could really use little victories, and they just hop on and they beg people to spend their money, and people are very, very wary of that these days. And the first knee-jerk reaction is, well, who are you? Like, what are you going to give me to start listening to what you have to say on social, especially if it's an advertisement?
Dave's Canva crash course. Are we ready?
So we are absolutely ready.
I've told Dave prior to this call to create a piece of content around the Merged Marketing podcast, and maybe you guys watching there can get some tips and tricks on how to create that content for your own business and your own agency.
So Canva is absolutely brilliant for offering all of these templates that do most of the heavy lifting for your graphic design work for you. Somewhere on this list, and I can keep on scrolling for, I don't know, the next 10 minutes. Somewhere on this list is going to be a good enough template for what it is you're trying to offer. What it's going to give us is kind of that starting point. First thing I want to do is get rid of the parts that I'm not going to use, like that portrait of that woman there, and this font is going to have to be changed, and the squiggly line doesn't really give me a whole lot. But what it has given me is the groundwork, right? We are going to change the font to be more in line with the branding of Merged.
You want people, when they're scrolling through their feed, to know that's a Merged Media post.
Or had Jason send me a picture of him as a podcaster, and all I did was drag it into a pre-made element, which is ready for a photo, the same as the previous portrait that was in the template. We could duplicate this, and now we have two of Jay, which is just horrible. You could do David here and have him fit just the same way. And then you have the other co-host of the podcast. He will hate the fact that he is smaller than your image is, and you're just gonna tweak it.
And we could still sit here for another hour if we wanted to go a lot of this stuff, but maybe we'll save that for another day if people want to learn more about Canva. If you don't know yet, now you know. The podcast page for Merged Media has been launched. So if you have not tuned in for the Merged Marketing Podcast, I suggest you go over and do it. Krista is going to be so kind and drop that information right here. So after this week's episode of The Digital Hunter, make sure you're going over there, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thanks for watching. See you soon.